I'm Karen Das.
And I'm Dr. Visham Bhimull from Caribbean Hindustan.
Well, it's been another interactive week with valuable contribution and a lot of fun as usual online. So let's get started. On Monday, we started the week with Dulaar. Dulaar, very popular word. I think it's safe to say this is a well-loved word. And it's one of those words that sort of walked you back to when you were a child. And somehow when you hear the word Dulaar, you think about your grandparents. So it holds a very special place for many people. So Dr. Bhimal, Dulaar?
Right. So, you realize from the comments we got, you have both a negative and a positive side to it. Um, so a lot of people would know the expression, yeah, well, he have too much dollar, meaning that he was
Mhm.
spoiled, right? So, going back to your point about your grandparents, um, so, oh yeah, and another thing is that some people had said Dular and Dulari, right?
Mhm.
Um, du, uh, Dular is a noun, but adding the R and the E creates a more complex noun. So Dular um, means to show love or affection. So a Dulara would be a boy who is shown love or affection, and a Dulari would be a girl who is shown love and affection, right? So Dulara and Dulari actually has that positive, affectionate connotation, but Dular in Trinidad also has a negative connotation. Basically, if a child is spoiled and would throw tantrums and stuff, sometimes people say, yeah, because you have too much Dular, means he was spoiled.
Right, yeah. So a lot of people said basically the same thing: pet up, too much love up, too much
Mm.
attention, love and affection. So that was Monday's word, dular. On a Tuesday, we sort of went digging in the jewelry box for Tuesday's word. And Mel was someone on Facebook who messaged in, and she said this is something that reminded her of her grandmother, Nak-Phool. And it's a combination of two words. Nak-Phool, our words chosen for
Um,
Tuesday.
yeah, right. So Nak means nose and pool means flower. But a lot of people ask the question if it's not Nak pool, right?
Mhm.
Um, Most of the recordings are done, they say Nak-Phool. What you tend to find is if you add a suffix or something afterwards for the sake of pronunciation, it normally would shorten that vowel in the original word. So Nak becomes Nak. So they say Nak-Phool, right? So it literally means nose flower, and it's a specific nose ring. Is a nose ring that actually is to one side, right? So either this side or this side. Um, because one person had said Natuni, right? Now Natuni
Mhm.
is nose ring, yes, but Natuni is a nose ring that actually goes to the septum. Honestly, outside of Trinidad, I never really heard the term Nak-Phool. But
Mhm.
when you talk to people from UP Bihar, they actually claim to know what the word is. So again, that's another word that would have would speak to older tradition, even in wearing jewelry.
So Nagpur is just literally a piece of jewelry that's
Nose,
on the side of the nose.
the literal meaning is nose flower, right?
Flower,
And I
right?
guess
But
it
it's
would,
not necessarily a flower. It's just the ornament.
well, I guess the ornament actually would bear the reference or beauty to a flower. If you
Hmm.
would look at some of the designs, they would kind of tend to um, have that theme. So that's probably why the word flower became associated with it. But that's just a guess on my part. Obviously, more research needs to be done to find out how the word pool would actually have come to mean this particular thing. I mean, we talk about words all the time, but you realize that as context changes, the meaning of the word changes.
Correct. Well, most people got that one right anyway. So Nakpul completed Tuesday's word, which allowed us to roll into Wednesday with our Trinidad Bhojpuri phrase. And this was actually submitted by an ardent follower of the Trinidad Bhojpuri series, Laathee Maaray, was chosen for Wednesday, and a lot of stick action, a lot of description. that was given. But we also learned that there's another word that's used in Fiji. And I think it was Udit on Facebook who made reference to policemen in India, which we should know after looking at all those Bollywood movies. So Laathee Maaray, Trinidad Bhojpuri Words for Wednesday.
Yeah, Lathi means stick, and Mari means to hit or to beat, right? We spoke about verbs in Hindustani where we extend it. So mare is to die, but mare is to hit. So you see the relationship there, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a combination of a noun with a verb to make a compound verb as an expression, right? So let's say if you want to form so Laathee Mare means to hit with a stick. So if we say Laathee Maro means hit with a stick. So it's a command, right?
Right. Okay. And that is the proper pronunciation, Laathee.
Yeah, so it's at the tip of the tongue to the hard palate and is aspirated, so it's a ta. So it'll be
Mhm.
Laathee, right? That sound doesn't exist in English. So it'll be a bit difficult for English speakers to kind of imitate that sound. And again, that's
Yeah.
why I have lost in the original sound because of that language change.
On Thursday, our Trinidad Bhojpuri word was Bhaaloo. Many people said to me that they were not familiar with the word, so they just gave a wild guess, and those who guessed had the same thing. It sounded like you were referring to somebody who was fatty, or someone who was overfed, or someone who was full. Some folks said that they heard the word but really didn't know the meaning. There was one person on Facebook who made reference to the Jungle Book character. Bhaaloo was our word chosen for Thursday.
Right, and the person who made reference to the Jungle Book was correct because the person who had written the book, well, I mean, the story is based in India, right? So the
Mhm.
person who wrote the book chose Hindi words for the name of the characters, right? So, well, we know Baloo, everybody know Baloo, right? The big bear in that Disney series that was based on the book, right? In the
Mhm.
book itself, the character who was the bear, who was with the boy in the forest, his name was Baloo
Mowgli.
as well in the book, Mowgli, yeah,
I think
in the book,
Mowgli, yes, Mowgli.
yeah. So, but again, as an anglicization, the word Bhaalu, which is the actual pronunciation, as you would see, that word kind of tends to be lost in Trinidad. I knew the word from my grandparents, so the reference would be someone who is hairy. Obviously, you could see the relationship with a bear. But when I had
Mhm.
shared the post, most people from other places in diaspora knew it was bear.
Right. Okay. So basically, someone who's hairy or someone who with sort of like shaggy looking hair.
Well, basically, you tell the person you're looking like a bear.
So Bhaaloo,
Yeah.
it sort of sounds cute, but Bhaaloo. So that was
Mm.
our word for Thursday. And on a Friday, we usually wrap up with a food related word, which was Pakwaan. And someone on Facebook reminded us that a few months ago we did Pakawe. So Pakwaan
Mhm.
was used on Friday, food related.
Right, and remember we explored that and then one. So we did Bhatwan, and I think we did
Mhm.
another one. I can't remember. But this is a suffix, as I said, will be added to nouns or verbs. In this context, of verbs. So the person who picked up on the pakawe as to cook, right? I wanna make an extra reference here to, like I said, so mare to die, mare to hit. Um, Pakke means to become edible or to become ripe, right? So pakawe means to make edible or
Mhm.
make eatable. Edible, the word is not eatable, right? Um, yes. Again, just like able is at the end, again, that's the suffix we explore in Hindustani. Um, so that's how pakawe actually now means to cook or to make edible. Because you could actually use pakke with fruits, which is not cooked but becomes ripe. So you get that context there, right? Yeah, people would know pakka am, right, which means a ripe
Right.
mango. Um, So adding the one to it at the end. So it's not the pakawe per se, but more the pake. So pak one. So it means that art of making things edible, right? Which is cuisine essentially. Now I notice a lot of people said just to cook, right? Because they're related to pakawe. But
Mm-hmm.
when you end up a one, it means as a noun. So then it has to be cooking as a noun, like the cooking of food, right? The cooking of mangoes. So it is the cooking or cooking as a noun or cuisine, right? Not to cook as people would have a reference to in the comments.
Interesting. All right, so that wrapped up another week of Trinidad Bhojpuri Words and Phrase. We have fresh words for you, so keep up with us on social media. And as always, we encourage you to send us your messages and your suggestions as well. Dr. Bhimull, how can folks get in touch with you?
Right, so you visit Caribbean Hindustani on Facebook or the website is caribbeanhindustani.org, as well as we have a YouTube page, Caribbean Hindustani. So all our content is there. Apart from just this vocabulary, things like songs, translations, and articles on Indo-Caribbean culture in general.
Wonderful. I am Karen Das.
And I'm Dr. Visham Bhimull of Caribbean Hindustani.
And this has been a KDC production in collaboration with Caribbean Hindustani. Catch you next week. Bye.